Welcome back to another episode of Gregtech Community Edition Modern. Last time we did, all of those things. Oh, that's right. We got ourselves this wonderful generator up and running, and it will go ahead and turn on. I don't know how close we're ever going to get to that threshold to turn it on, but I do like having it as an option to back up and keep things running. I don't think I'll currently get to the point where I'm using so much that won't help cover. Currently. Future, no promises. Anyways, today we actually are going to grab out some of our things we made previously 2 episodes ago, our trinium coils and the parts to go ahead and finish off the... Oh, we need that. Let's not drop that. We need to finish off our Naquadah. We need to finish our Naquadah processing. So, we just have to simply plop ourselves down another electric blast furnace here. We'll do our customary one space apart. So there, get our LUV hatches input into place. And then we just need our things here, because I do want to put all the inputs at the top. I guess the one thing that I could put here at the bottom that I nearly forgot is our maintenance hatch. So let's go ahead and do that. Maintenance hatch, coils, not the metal one. What am I doing? Gotta have a place to have the metal go into. Otherwise, these coils won't work. Anyways, we now just need to go ahead and take a look at our recipe here. So let's grab one out and look at that. So we need to put hydrogen. So we're going to need an input and 2 outputs. And the only thing, and this is exactly what I was worried of. So I need to get LUV power over to the vacuum freezer. Not entirely a problem, as I can just pop on some more IV things, but that's not going to quite work for us. So we'll go ahead and finish wrapping this up and then deal with the solution for that afterwards. So that's 1, 2, 3. And then we'll do the 4th one there, just like the others. Grab our muffler hatch. Okay, and then we want our inputs on the right side here. I don't know if this is how I did the other ones, but I'll just do it like this so that I can, and it looks like it is. We want our outputs right here. Okay, so now we have our storage bus going into here. The only problem with doing that at the moment is that we actually have the massive container there. One thing I am going to actually have to do, because we're going to have a problem pretty soon with inputs, we need to store sulfuric acid into the system. And then we need... I didn't realize that was backed up, but I guess it was because we are storing that. We need to also take sulfuric acid off the input, as with adding this into it, we will no longer need any more input from the main system. The 2 here will be enough to actually help funnel back into what we need for this, because we get I'm pretty sure we do recipe. How do we get this? We centrifuge, we get fluorine, and then when we use the waste in the distiller, yeah, so is that right? We might be short 1 bucket. In fact, I think that's exactly what it is. We're short 1 bucket, but I could be wrong. Well, we will find out in due time. We do need a storage bus for that stuff, yes. Okay, so we want our storage bus We're going to want one here. The other one we actually want right here. This one is going to be set to that. And that one's already got hydrogen in it, which is good because that's what we want in there. So let's go ahead and lock that in on the storage bus, since we can't lock it in here. Now, if we do put this in, we should see it go off. Or no, it needs more than that. It needs like 6, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Yeah, 6. Okay. And that will go ahead and get us the Naquadria ingot and the sulfuric acid, which both will be returned directly back into the system using our lovely interface. Okay, and let's go ahead and grab out our paint and repaint this to match the rest of it. Now, this is where I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to swap this on over so that we can actually use... Let's go ahead and move these out of the way. That there. And there. Okay. And move this on up to right there. And then that will automatically pull in our items, and we can remove this bus now. So now that's going to go off, and we have to fix our issue where this is no longer going to cut it. So, let's see where we are at right here. If I drill down right in the middle of some stuff. All right. I'm going to have to sort out... Wait. What if I just... We have enough for 1. We can just double it up to get to 2, right? The only problem is it feels like a lot of double up because we have to go all the way past the other one. So maybe it's better to just go ahead and bring a brand new LUV cable out somewhere. Because those are going to start backfilling into this pretty quickly at some point. Maybe? Are they not... They're not exiting the system right now. That's good. That's good. They don't back up the system yet. Okay, let's go ahead and grab ourselves some LUV cable then. LUV. Oh, that's not going to help me, but I can do the hatches. Do 2 of those. Let those get started, and we will grab some wires crafting, because I know for a fact I do not have enough of these. It's down to like the last couple of the stack that I was on. So let's just go ahead and queue up another 128. And while those are going, we can work on the next part that we need to go ahead and get started to make these wire situations not have to be so hefty. So the idea of what we need to do is I want to come down here, make sure we can grab from like a system that's not using too much power. So maybe this one here, it's only using 1. Yeah, that looks like that should be a good one to grab a hold of. So let's grab out our cables. And we're going to go ahead and come straight up right through here. And I want it to be right there that it's going to go into. So we'll go ahead and break this. And actually, I do want to go one down. One more down. We want our HV right there. We'll go ahead and put this one here, and now we've got ourselves some HV energy supply up to this area right here, which is actually great because we can run it along, and then when this generator runs out of fuel, I can just tack it in another 2 transformers to tack that into the system. So let's go ahead and clear these 3 blocks out, and we're going to need to grab out our HV cable for this. As I've decided, we need to go ahead and get some starting on couple, just 3 of these is all we're going to need. And what was the last one? The last one was the mixer. Okay. We need to get ourselves some of this PCB coolant to be able to make a couple blocks in the future, as well as passing power around the area is a pretty difficult situation, because we have to figure out which cables we want to bring into different places and all this other stuff. If we switch over to some laser cables, which we don't need the PCB coolant for, but we can then power it into a active transformer, which will transform it to whatever energy supply output you need. So if you need LUV, slap an LUV hatch on there, and you can actually have it automatically change and then by using the laser cables you can supply it over a really long distance in a straight line. I believe those cables are actually fairly cheap compared to what a lot of these different superconductors cost. So we're gonna go ahead and get that set up, and we just need, let's grab that block down there. We're just gonna need to insert some things, and I do actually plan on putting it into this aluminum drum here and having that be the source that the system takes from, because we don't need too much of it stockpiled, but we do want some of it stockpiled for when we actually use stuff. So we can go ahead and place ourselves a storage bus and then tell it that it is only to store the PCB coolant. Now, to make our PCB coolant, we need 2 things. We need distilled water, and we need this polychlorinated binephyle. So, to do that, let's go ahead and grab out our export buses. We're going to need 1, 2, and 3. And we can go ahead and wire those directly into our system right now, as they won't import or export anything. I guess just go up. Why am I trying to do anything different there? And right there, and right there. Okay, so the first part of this journey is we need to make ourselves some of this biphenyl. So we're going to go ahead and put in benzene and oxygen, and then we'll have to void the water. So let's go ahead and put the benzene and oxygen in there. So we want oxygen, benzene, and a circuit breaker of 1. And once that fills up enough, you will see it start to make some of the binephyle. And we can just go ahead and pass that on to the next one. I don't know if we have a fluid voider on me. Maybe in the system. Go ahead and look at that void. We do not have a fluid void, but we do have ourselves a way to craft it really quick. So let's go ahead and get that out, pull out a stack just so it's taken care of, and fluid voiding cover, stick that on the end, and activate it, because it is going to produce water. How about do that one? So it actually does this thing. There we go. We're going to get our biphenyl dust. Now that itself combines with chlorine, and we get hydrochloric acid as well as this polychlorinated biphenyl. So I do want to go ahead and do an export bus on the back of this one, or an import, not export. And we will set that to be the hydrochloric acid. Is the only thing that'll come out this way. And then I do have myself a fluid filter to assign this output to right there. And then we can go ahead and say output there. And that will allow us to then add in our chlorine to export into the system. And as soon as that is full, we should see that go off and passing its next thing on over. And then comes the last part, which is the mixer to make our PCB coolant. So we need 750 millibuckets of the polychlorinated biphenyl and a quarter of a bucket of distilled water. So let's go ahead and add the distilled water into our export bus, and we should watch this be able to start any moment now. It's going to take a little while, but that is fine. Once we see it go, it's going to start going. There we go. There's our first batch. And now you'll see the chlorine just takes off because it's finally got its buffer filled. So that'll keep going. We'll get our first... Oh, hey, filter extract. Now we just got to pop on ourselves one of these to allow it to extract the hydrochloric acid. And there is our first little bit of the PCB coolant, which we will just go ahead and pass on to this next container, and we now have that in the system. Right there, ready to go to start getting ready for crafting our active transformer. Now, we've got to do one last thing to actually be able to make sure this part works. So it's a good thing that we are just stockpiling up in our interface right now, because this would definitely have backlogged our machines over here trying to figure out what to do. But now we can go ahead and bring over 2 LUV things, as well as we can attach ourselves. I just realized we're actually going to need to replace this with a by 8, I think. By 4? How much is that sending out? By 4? That's 16. And that can handle 32, so we can do that. Let's do LUV dynamo. LUV by 16 dynamo. And I will let that tick off, and we'll be right back when it's done. Alright, here we go. We've got it crafted on up. Let's grab it out of our computer and punch it on in. Have to take out the old dynamo hatch, supply the new one. I don't think it matters if it's wrenched around the proper way, but we're going to make sure it is. And now we've got that 32, the cable, that can bring it all the way down. It looks like we've got it all the way to here. So this is where I want to branch it off over to where I'm going to be doing my stuff at. Looks like we actually got the perfect opportunity to go ahead. Siphon this down to 1. And we can go right across the top here. And we're going to go ahead and snap it off right there. We can get it there. There we go. And boom. Boom. 1, 2. Come on. There we go. And now we just take ourselves all the way across and over so that we can go up right there. Let's go ahead and block in the rest of the stuff we don't need. I can crawl under it. We got this. Okay, so we're going to branch up right here. And go ahead and branch up quite literally right here. And we'll go over 1, 2, 4. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there. Clip and snip. And straight up we go. All right. We got a problem. I forgot it makes it difficult if you got a thing overhead as you're trying to place it. And that's going to make it real difficult here. Hold on. Here we go. And now we are out. Let's go ahead and snip this end so it doesn't interact somehow with something that we don't want it to. And keep on pulling this cable over. 1, 2, and straight across. And oh! What? Did I forget? I forgot my energy hatches, didn't I? Oh, that scared me. Oh boy, I'm so glad that the explosions are not as bad as they could be. Oh, is not ready for that. You're not playing a mod pack with creepers in it, and then all of a sudden you hear an explosion. It's a little terrifying. Okay, so it looks like we can go ahead and re-enable them now. And it looks like they'll be going way faster now, which is really nice. And now, it's up to the last thing of coming on over here, recognizing this item so that we can go ahead and pop it into our export. We will see that that should start exporting pretty rapidly. It is gone. They are already over here, and they are already processing. And here we go. We've got our first set of some Naquahdria. Naquadria? Naquadria. Naquadria. Coming out of that... Where'd it go? That one. Is it that one? No, that's alloy. Right there. Boom. A glowing, shining, colorful purple... Or, wow, from that angle, it looks purple. It's blue. Blue ingot. That one's, like, actually more purple, but it's more like a red. Huh. Nice. So that does completely close our loop on our Naquadah chains, as this does actually produce the final sulfuric acid we need, because the other one that produces it is this one. So we've got ourselves the Naquadah sulfate, the Naquahdria sulfate, and then this very first one as well, which is, I forgot which one it is. Titanium trifluoride. This doesn't produce it. Never mind. That produces... How much stuff did we get from that again? 1 bucket. I think we are losing 1 bucket of sulfuric acid every once in a while here. I think that's how that works. Oh. Is it only... Okay, got it. Yeah, that will actually conclude today's episode. We got quite a bit done here. We finished our Naquahdria chains, which will actually allow us to get much further in. Oh, I guess we gotta actually complete this other quest here, otherwise it's technically not done. Now is it? I just hope that we're not... Okay. Bucket achieved. We have our PCB Coolant. We have our Naquahdria actually fully running and letting this thing continue its cycle much easier without having to worry about adding so much sulfuric acid in that you back up the entire machine. As well as we did have to upgrade this to take the Naquahdria and actually compress it down into its regular form instead of the freshly hot ingot. Now, there are a couple other things I will be doing next episode, because it's going to work all functionally well, extremely well together. But thank you very much for watching. I do very much appreciate everybody who watches till the end, and as well as everybody who leaves a like, comment. I would really, really appreciate the subscription. Costs nothing. Thank you for watching, and you guys all have a great night. Bye!